This is Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah. You guys are the stars. You're here, and I'm thankful. Thank you all for coming. Good to see you. Good to see you, always. Yeah, the shining stars are out tonight. So, anybody have any requests or anything they'd like to, any direction you want us to go in?
Aaron quoted a verse today. I think it was 246. That all the purposes that can be fulfilled by a small well can immediately be satisfied by a great river.
Yeah. 246.
246 or 242?
Let's just see. I can't remember.
246.
Yeah, 246. That sounds good to me. Is that okay with everyone else? All right. I don't know which one you have, but on mine it's page 132.
Okay, this one.
So, second chapter, 46 verse. We're using different books, so it might be a little difference. I use this one because it's got bigger print. It's easier for me to
That's
see.
different.
I prefer to carry a
246.
little, but I can't see
Yeah,
it anymore.
46.
I used to have a
glasses.
Yavanarta Udam, excuse me, Udapane Sarvada Samputo Dake. I have to look away sometimes and let the words quit moving around so I can see. Tavan Sarveshu Vedeshu Brahmanasya Vijan Ataha. Krishna is saying, all purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So I'll say, you can repeat, all purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. Report by Srila Prabhupada. The rituals and sacrifices mentioned in the Karma Kanda division of the Vedic literatures are meant to discourage gradual development of encourage gradual development of self-realization. Does everybody know what the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas is? No. It's like I do something for what is called punya. I get a return. I do it, and I get something really great back. You know, my punya, my spiritual bank account bills. So then I get transferred at the time of death to the heavenly planets, where they have streets of gold and gates of pearl, and you live for a long, 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 long time. It's just fantastic. It's like Hawaii on steroids. Times infinity. You know, it's really wonderful. It's heaven. That's where that term comes from. So, and it's kind of strange how the description of the heavenly planets is similar to that in the Bible. You know, very similar. Everyone lives in a mansion. You know, there's no poverty. There's no vice to speak of. There's no. You live for a couple of 100,000 years, and there's no old age until about 6 months before you die. You know, practically speaking, no disease. It's heaven. You know, it's great. You can enjoy. Everyone there is very beautiful. You know, very attractive. Lots of beautiful, sweet music. Great enjoyment. I mean, man, it's a top-notch place to go to enjoy. So in the Karmakanda section of the Vedas, it teaches you how to get fruitive return for your investment of, look, God, I do something for you, and you're going to give me something good. See? So I'll grovel, or I'll give you money, I'll do whatever, but you're going to keep it coming. So that's Karmakanda. And the purpose of self-realization is clearly stated in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 15:15. The purpose of studying the Vedas is to know Lord Krishna, the primeval cause of everything. So self-realization means understanding Krishna and one's eternal relationship with him. The relationship of the living entities with Krishna is also mentioned in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 15:7. The living entities are part and parcels of Krishna. Therefore, revival of Krishna consciousness by the individual living entity is the highest perfectional stage of Vedic knowledge. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 3:33-7 as follows. Ahobata swa pachoto varyam yadji vagare tartate nama tubhyam tepus tapas te juhuvaha susmar sashnur arya Ramanuchur Nama Grinati Yete. I've got a reading disorder that sometimes acts up. Kind of like dyslexia. It seems like things move. So I just have to stop and look away and look back sometimes. So, translation. Oh my Lord, a person who is chanting your holy name, although born of a low family, like that of a Chandala, dog eater, is situated on the highest platform of self-realization. Such a person must have performed all kinds of penances and sacrifices according to the Vedic rituals, and studied the Vedic literatures many, many times after taking his bath in all the holy places of pilgrimage. Such a person is considered to be the best of the Aryan family. I'm going to pause and explain what we're talking about. It's just like if you have a large reservoir of water. It can do certainly everything that the small well can do. It contains many hundreds of thousands of wells, maybe, you see. So the large volume of water can certainly provide whatever the small volume of water can do. This is a comparison to where when you get to the point of bhakti yoga, the practice of loving God and embracing God, and by chanting Hare Krishna, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by the time you get that, it's the same as having everything else. You've studied all the Vedas. Because the Vedas basically are stepping stones. In other words, one can be engaged in karmakanda. I go to God to ask for good stuff. You know, like, dear Lord, please give me this, please give me that. I'll make some offering to you, and I'll do some service in exchange, and please take care of me like that. And as we are associating with the God by offering something and getting some reciprocation, then sooner or later we'll develop in our relationship to where we let go the desire for something in return. You see, as our love grows, as Krishna Prem starts to come into the heart, we become so infatuated with Krishna that now, my dear Lord, I'm feeling love for you. I didn't feel love in the beginning. I felt awe and reverence. I knew that you were the supreme provider. You're the reservoir of everything, you see. And I know you can take care of me, and you can give me all the things I want. I want a beautiful spouse. I want a good education. You know, I want a wonderful place to live. I want plenty of money, then I know that you'll give it to me. You see? Because you have everything. You're this gigantic reservoir of everything. The source of everything. That from which everything is emanating. So therefore I'm coming to you, my Lord, to grant my wish. Please give me what I want. Because you are so great. You see? So there's a little bit of praising the Lord there. You're so wonderful and merciful. And did I say kind? Because boy, you'll give me. And you're my guy. I'm telling you, you're my go-to guy. See you, big guy. And away I go with my goodies. Now I got this, I got that. What a God, God. You see. So it's like that. After some time of relating with the Lord this way, then we start to develop a real attraction personally. You know, you're not just my order filler. I'm starting to get attracted to you. And for who you are, not what you give me. So I'm starting to see beyond what you give me and how you take such good care of me and fulfill all of my desires. I'm starting to develop an attraction to you personally. You see? It's kind of like if you meet someone that you want to have a relationship with, and you start sending them $1,000 a week. And they know that, oh wow, I'm starting to spend through that real quick, and I keep coming back to you, and you give me another $1,000 every time I see you. Well, now, I really like the money, what you've been giving me, but you know, now that I'm getting to know you, I'm starting to think you're a nice guy, even above and beyond the money. I'm starting to get to know you. You know, and I'm starting to not just see you as somebody who starts sending, who keeps the punya coming. I'm starting to see you as a really nice person. I'm starting to feel the sprouting of love. Bhakti Lata Beach, the sprout of devotional service, of love for Krishna. So now that I've seen you, I'm starting to get attracted, and the more I get attracted, the less I'm attracted to what I can get from you. You see, to the point where I just want you. I don't care about anything. I don't need anything. I just want you. See, you don't have to give me the $1,000 a week anymore. You know, heck, I'd give you $1,000 a week just to have your association, because I just love you. You see, so it's like that. That's the purpose of the karma kanda. We go and we ask, we get, and there's a relationship there. And so, in time, love takes over. Love sprouts, it takes over, and then we don't want to ever leave God. See, in the karma kanda, we turn him on and turn him off. You know, I turn him on when I want something, and then once I get it, well, off you go. You know, go on and do whatever it is gods do. I've got my loot that you've given me, and thanks a lot. You know, so when we get less attracted to what we can get more attracted to the giver. You see, and then once love starts to sprout, we want to give. I feel that when you fall in love with someone, you want to do for them. You want to give to them. You know, so even though God, you could define him as the guy that has everything. You know, what do you buy for the man who has everything? You've heard that. So what do you get? What do you get for God, the guy who has everything? The thing that he doesn't have, because he doesn't have everything. He doesn't have your love. You're fixed on yourself, your senses, what you can get from him. What you can give him is your love. That's what he wants. He wants a loving relationship. You see, it doesn't mean that once you start giving him your love that he's going to say, all right, no, I'm cutting you off, you're not getting anything else now that I got the love. You see, it's just like a good example. Srila Prabhupada was somebody who wanted nothing. He didn't want fame, profit, adoration, or distinction. Those are the four motivating factors that make people do things. I'll do some action. In exchange, I want fame, profit, adoration, distinction. I want to be known. I want everybody to know me. I like when I walk into a restaurant, I want to turn heads and they'll be whispering, is that Bob over there? That looks like Bob. That's him. Yes, it is. I want to be mindful and ask him for his photograph. That looks like Jorge with him. Wow, it is. You see? So that's, fame is kind of flattering, Profit. If I have profit, I have money, I have cash in the bank, I have money to spend. And adoration, I want people to adore me, you see. And distinction, I want to be distinguished in my field or whatever. I want people to know that I'm a distinguished musician, I'm a distinguished artist, I'm a distinguished writer, I'm a whatever, So, those are the things that cause us to do things. Fame, profit, adoration, and distinction. So Srila Prabhupada didn't want any of that. He came to please his guru. His guru said, I want you to spread this teaching to the Western world, especially America. And so all Prabhupada wanted to do was do just that. Wanting nothing, zero, nada from Krishna, except please help me serve my spiritual master. You see, please give me the strength, my dear spiritual master, to serve you in Krishna. You see, he didn't want followers, he didn't want anything. So what did Krishna give him? He gave him fame, profit, adoration, distinction. Prabhupada didn't want that. Krishna gave it to him in large amounts. He's known all over the world. So much profit came that he was able to open temples in every country. His books are being distributed all over the world in, practically speaking, every language. And I think we're approaching 500 million books. This is gigantic. How many authors have sold 500 million books? And he did this, and this has happened in 50 years. Some people may say, well, what about the Bible? It's also, how long has the Bible been around? We're talking 50 years. How many copies of the Bible were sold in the first 50 years? It didn't get traction for a long time, did it? See? So we're talking, what did Krishna give Prabhupada? You see? Gave him everything. I want to glorify you. Prabhupada said, I'm just a humble beggar. I don't want any attention. I don't want any glorification. You see? He made devotees all over the world, but then he said, but my guru has sent all of you just to help me in his mission. He didn't take credit for that. He counseled and preached and spread Krishna's love everywhere. Yes?
Well, I was thinking that even when the Bible was published, it wasn't for everybody. The common man couldn't have it. They were thought not able to interpret it, so only the clergy had the Bible, and the clergy interpreted the Bible for them.
I didn't know that.
So, but yet, our literature is for everybody. Everybody.
Yeah. And we can see Prabhupada wrote it it's very distinguished writing, no doubt, but it's understandable by practically speaking, everybody. There's a few words that you need a dictionary, but it's for everybody. You see, I didn't know that. That's a strong point. So the clergy
We're the interpreters of the scripture.
And probably
That's why you had prayer beads, because it was all memorized. Telling the story of Christ through beads, through the prayer beads.
That's the purpose of the rosary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting. So, here we are, 50 years. In 2 years, we're going to celebrate the 50th anniversary of this time. And it takes 50 years for the world, the community, religious world to recognize, okay, you're going to be, it looks like you're going to be around. Because we've seen, in my lifetime, we've seen others come and go. You know, the Moonies, remember the Moonies? You ever hear of the Moonies? Oh. Yeah. They kind of copied. You had Sun Myung Moon, who was from Korea, and he convinced thousands, more, mega thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that he was the coming of Christ. And so he had people, he saw that the devotees were out distributing books and whatever, so he sent people out to distribute flowers. We were distributing flowers, and they were distributing flowers and taking gobs of money to them. And pretty much they're gone. You know, they're out of here. So they didn't make it 50 years. I don't know how long they made it. So we're going to be 50 years old, and the world community will say, okay, these guys have been around 50 years. Okay, you're one of us. You must be bona fide the last 50 years. So if you can't make it 50, then if you make it 50, you're in it for the long haul. So Srila Prabhupada struggled for Krishna, wanting nothing except to fulfill the order of his spiritual master. And then Krishna gave him everything. You see? So Prabhupada was just demonstrating the doing out of love. Out of love. In other words, I want the privilege to serve you. So the devotee gets to the point where he just wants the privilege to serve God. So this is to be understood from what we're hearing here, is that by the time you get to the point of that mentality, in past ages anyway, you had to have done everything. You had to step your way up the consciousness to get to that point. And it was so elevated, most people thought, how do you get there? It's not even, how is it possible to get to that point where you can love God, embrace God? You see, I can do some meditation, and I can perhaps go to the Brahmjyoti, and I can do so many, but this other stuff, it's so elevated. So people wonder, well then, what the heck's going on? How do we have it then? See, it's like I've been talking lately. We're like the children of someone. We're like spoiled children of the rich. We didn't have to work hard to get this. You see, we didn't have to go sit on a mountaintop in the wintertime in the Himalayas. You see, and meditate for 100 years or whatever, depriving ourselves of all sense gratification, completely controlling the senses, allowing nothing, just deep meditation. See, we didn't have to do that. Now, we might have done some of that in previous lives, but in this life, I don't know about you, but I was a pretty sinful person. I didn't have. When you saw me, if you'd known me at age 20, you would have never thought, I'll bet that guy in a previous life sat on top of a mountain and did this own thing, and, you know, offered all these great sacrifices and penances. Boy, don't you think he did that? No. I was just like everybody else, you know, trying to grab all the gusto I could, squeeze all the enjoyment I could out of the material energy. See? So I didn't have to work hard. I was wondering, and I had questions about God. I was wanting him to show himself somehow. And then it's kind of like, you know, I see the devotees across the street, and hey, who are those guys? And I'm trying to get close to them, and I had roadblocks, things that impeded it. So in 1968, I wanted to approach the devotees, but I was distracted. I had this great distraction. she was a model, and I'd wanted to date her for a long time, and I'm walking down the State Street in Chicago, and I wanted to go see the devotees, and she wanted to go to the movie. She won. I didn't want to displease her. And then in 1972, the same thing, it's very similar happened. You know, I was distracted by the same thing, different model though. You see. And so I started to wonder, what is this Krishna consciousness? I'd ask people, I'd say, what is this Hare Krishna? And I never got a straight answer. So then one day, this friend of mine, who I didn't put much credibility in, had this Bhagavad Gita that he had gotten from the devotees. Radha Damodar traveling Sankirtan party and distributed the book to him. And he had this book, and I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. Wait a minute, that's the Bhagavad Gita. Where'd you get this? Never mind where you got it. Give it to me. Oh, it's mine. I'll give it back to you, but I'm reading it. God, it's been years since. You know, I've been trying to get this. I mean, I could have tried better. I kept getting distracted by the material energy, you know. But when something would remind me of it, I think, I want to find out about these guys, you know. So, and that's what I did. I got a book. And Prabhupada is telling me about this Krishna Prema. I didn't have to go to the mountaintop and do this, you see. So the people who do some of these penances and austerities, they'll say, well, you guys are kindergarten spiritualists. Because you don't do this, you don't do all this stuff. You gotta work hard for it. You know, you gotta do penance and austerity. You gotta suffer to do it. You know, you gotta deny yourself. You know. You guys, you just picked up a book and now you're chanting Hare Krishna and you think you're so hot. But we find out that's the object of the game. How did we come up by it so easily? It's Lord Chaitanya's fault. 500 years ago, Lord Chaitanya came and said, you know what? I'm going to break all the rules. Instead of having to go through life after life, dedicated penance and austerity and sacrifice and, you know, all this you have to go through to earn a birth that will, from birth you can do your meditation. You know, people think that, all right, here I am 40 years old or whatever, and I can just go to the local yoga salon and I'll get something that'll take me back to God. No, yeah, come on. I've also got some land in Florida I'd like to sell you too. It's underwater, but trust me, it's okay. You see what I mean? And they say, we're kindergartners. You're kindergartners because you guys are just loving Krishna. What we did is we cut to the front of the line. We didn't mean to. Lord Chaitanya decided, I'm going to distribute this freely to everyone. I'm in that kind of mood. Because Kali Yuga is getting worse and worse. And in a few years, you're not going to be able to grab any spirituality or get anything. So, for you people in Kali Yuga this is the downhill slope. It's going to get worse. We've all seen it get worse in our lifetime. I mean, we have seen things change drastically for the worse. You know, vice has grown bigger than anything. You know, they say that pornography. I've heard. I don't know if it's correct, but I've heard that 60% of the activity on the internet is pornography. Now you're talking a lot. Lord Chaitanya said, look, you know, for those souls in Kali Yuga, I'm just going to make it, you know, here, take it. I got a lottery ticket for you, and, you know, you won the lottery, you didn't even buy a ticket. Here you go. Here's one for you. Here's one. Take it. Everybody. And as a matter of fact, I want you, and you, well, and the rest of you. I'm deputizing you to distribute it too. Just go out and give it to everybody. Give them the holy name. You give them the holy name, let them chant that, I'll take care of the rest. Don't worry. No penance, austerity. That's the austerity for the age. Chant Hare Krishna. Now, in other ages, you had to do great austerities, you know, big sacrifices, big formal sacrifices. The Yuga Dharma, the sacrifice for this age, is chanting Hare Krishna. That's all you have to do. And from that, you'll create a desire to get closer to God, to render loving devotional service. You see, and from that, your love for Him will start to grow, and you can go back to Godhead in a short life. You know, our life spans in this age are much shorter than previous ages. How long did they live in the Bible? Was it Moses lived?
Hundreds of years.
Yeah, almost 1,000 years. I've heard 900 years. You know, so we don't have that kind of time. You know, the average life expectancy in America for a male, I think, is 76, give or take. I hope it's good. I hope it's more than that.
So clearly,
11 years away from that.
are we de-evolving?
Huh?
Are we de-evolving?
Yes. Yeah, the human race is de-evolving. Yeah.
So, as it's progressively getting worse in Cali, do you remember that 80s movie, Blade Runner? Harrison Ford, it's a futuristic.
Yeah.
You know that there's Hare Krishnas, it's like 2020, the year 2020 in Los Angeles, and there's Hare Krishnas chanting in one of the scenes. And that always stuck with me as a little kid. And so, as it's getting worse, will Krishna consciousness be, how will that work?
Well, Lord Chaitanya gave the world, he gave this planet, a 10,000 year get out of jail free card. 10,000 years. The golden age of Lord Chaitanya started 500 years ago, approximately. You see. So we've got 9,500 years left of this freedom. You know, in other words, we can distribute it like everything. The window closes at the end of that time. You see. But for the next 9,500 years, it's just distribute it free. Don't have to do the penances. You cut to the front of the line. The owner of the line lets you go right to the front. You want, you've got a short lifetime, you can go back to Godhead right now, this lifetime. In just a few years, you can, if you chant and dedicate yourself, you can check out of the material world. That's a tremendous boon. Think of what he's doing. You don't have to do all the other stuff. Still, people are attracted to the other stuff because they don't have faith. You see, they don't have faith. It makes me wonder how serious is a transcendentalist, someone who considers themselves a transcendentalist, a spiritualist, and you say, do you really believe that your practice that you have, which takes lifetimes, long lifetimes, that you're going to really do it in this short lifetime you have this time? And we've got a shortcut for you. And they say, no, I don't want that. That's kindergarten. You and your God having a form, you and your relationship with the universal energy, you guys are kindergarten spiritualists, you know, to believe in a little blue boy as God. Look at these little boys. Oh, that's so cute. And they think you're a fool. We know the real truth. You know, God is the universal energy. And I'm part of that. And I will go merge with it. Which means, what does it mean if I merge with it? I become it. It becomes me. I become God. It's a whole lot better than washing his clothes or all that stuff that you guys are going to be doing. Offering him incense. I don't have to offer incense to anybody. I don't have to bow down to anybody. I don't ever have to admit that God's got anything. I am. I will be part of. We will be one, which means I am he is me. I am it is me. Because it doesn't have a gender, it's just the energy. You see? So in other words, there's no greater God than me, because I am it, and it is me. Now that sound, if there's no greater God than me, what does that sound like?
It sounds like narcissism is what it sounds like.
Narcissistic atheism.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe in God? Not separate to me. I will merge.
What becomes of them when they leave their body with that mentality?
If they really have that mentality, and let's say that they can. All right, they watch football all day on Sunday, Monday night football, and they're involved in a little bit of happy hour here and there, and they're not really controlling their senses that much, although they're eating a really healthy diet and whatever, and they. For me to believe that they're going to be thinking of merging at the time of death, I don't think that they're that dedicated to their merging. I think it's a great thing to say at a party, or a gathering of people. Well, I believe I will merge. It's a great thing to say to make me sound like I am spiritually advanced. I meditate. Why I meditate half hour a day. You see. So let's just say that by some stroke of luck, at the time of death, they're thinking about this merging. So perhaps they can get to Brahmjyoti. But have they merged? You take a little tiny grain of sand, okay, a little teeny piece of sand, and throw it onto a beach. Did it merge? No, you could go find it. It's still there. It's still a little teeny. It's become part of the beach, but still it's individual. And from a distance, it looks like, wow, look, it merged. It just disappeared. You see? So, this merging thing, what is it? You get stuck in the Brahmajyoti. So, you can stay there as long as you want. But what do you have? I ask people that when they're saying, well, this is what I prefer. Okay, I'm not going to try to deny you that. You can have that if you want it. But once you get there, what do you have? What would you do? Day one, you check in, you're in the Brahmjyoti, and you're there. You have a little bit of sense perception, but you don't have a body, you don't have any senses. What are you doing? It's not going to be like you're saying, hey, there's Jorge. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. It's none of that. You're aware that there are other entities, but what is the communication? You feel very peaceful, but after that, what do? After you had enough of this peace and this bliss, it's just really, really, did I mention peace? Well, there's more peace. But I've got a lot of peace. Well, there's more to come. All right, what about the L word? What do you do for love? How do you share love?
Well, they say it's just a constant, and then it is love. So you're just experiencing it all the time.
That sounds like kindergarten to me. They say that though, don't they? Because love, you have to have an object of love. But I've merged with it, so I feel love for God, which is me. So I'm loving me. Come on. Narcissistic atheism.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so great that I can become it, and I'll feel love of me because I'm great, because I and it are the same. You see? Okay, you can do that. You can merge in the Brahmjyoti. And you can stay as long as you want.
What's kind of interesting in some of the anecdotal stories you hear from people who have near-death experiences, generally speaking, when you hear their experiences, these are people who have crossed over and kind of been jerked back into their bodies from either being resuscitated or whatever it may be. but those individuals never. I mean, there might be a preliminary experience of the so-called light and a feeling of love and immersion and whatever, but more often than not, they report someone coming for them. So, in other words, if they were devoted to the Virgin Mary, for example, or Jesus Christ, or whoever, or that's the entity that comes for them. They meet a person, which to me indicates there's a relationship.
Right.
You know, so I mean, I always find that to be striking. You know, that there's actually and then they come back. If they come back in form, they always say, "Boy, I didn't want to come back to this world because it was so heavy and gross in its in its physical form." And there, I have this relationship with God. A relationship is the word I oftentimes hear or read. Amazing. So.
Yeah, I mean, someone who is a devout Christian, and here they are having a near death. Near death means, man, you're on the road, you're heading down. And so the object of their love meets them, where Jesus Christ is there. Of course, he may not be saying, come on, he may be saying, you know, you've come so close, and I want you to return. You know, there are things I would like you to do for me.
Exactly. People get the message they need to come back, their mission isn't complete, and then sometimes they come back with a transformed.
They seem to say that, don't they?
They come back transformed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That my mission wasn't complete.
Yeah. So
It reminds me of Jill Bolte Taylor.
Yes,
A
exactly.
Stroke of Insight, this Harvard neuroanatomist, and she had a stroke and left her body, and basically she was explaining universal energy, the oneness, and all this thing. And she came back and just literally was like, "Oh my God, there's something else going on here," So
Yeah.
it's like that jilt, that at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna makes it very clear that, it's nice that you're surrendering all Arjuna, but now you need to go out and apply everything that I've taught you, but don't disturb those not seeking me. Leave them alone, essentially. So why is it that atheists are rascals? Even though Krishna is seated with them patiently until one day in their next life, they seek.
Well, you have to define disturb. What does he mean by that? I mean, we don't want them to become disturbed. We don't go to them and say, "Yeah, you fool, you're just,
Okay.
idiot! Look at this, everybody's an idiot over here! Atheist, na 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 na." See?
So is that like we go to Carl Sagan and say, Carl, by the way, is that an example of disturbing an atheist?
We take the example of Lord Chaitanya. Hey, here's a get out of jail free card. Take it, it's yours. And learn to love God. And at the end of this life, even before then, you can have his association. And it's yours free. Get that out of my face, I don't want it. Yes, sir, thank you very much. God bless you. Hey, sir, how are you today? Are you in spiritual life? See what I mean? I offer it there. Some will take, some won't. But for us to go like to a gathering, like for me to go to your church and to stand up and say, well, there's really another way to look at this. And yada, 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 yada. You see what I mean? What a disturbance. People are going to say, look at that fool. To go to a gathering of people of a faith and try to disturb them. You see? That's not a show of love. It's a show of being disturbed. There's something upside down about it. You see?
Got it.
So we distribute it. And when you're like the book distributor, when you're distributing books, you don't say, well, like that guy over there, he doesn't look like he'll take this. No, you don't distinguish. Offer it to everybody. A rabbi comes out, and you may say, offer it to him. You don't say, oh, he's a Jew, you don't want it.
Like,
How do you know?
Yeah, you never. I had a
Guy,
comment.
excuse me.
Yes, go ahead.
Guy comes out with a collar.
Sorry?
And I think, well, he's not going to want the book. Wrong!
Fooled you.
Fooled you, didn't I? Yeah. See what I mean? We offer it freely to everyone with love. Yes, Bob?
Well, just in the same way, I was talking to someone on the phone. I do a lot of phone calls to families, and this one was a bereavement call. So I heard from somebody, oh, be careful with this family. They're very fundamentalist, and they're so kind of like be gentle with them. Like, not that I would be not gentle. So anyway, so we had a great conversation. And this woman just, for whatever reason, just decided to open up to me, and she was a evangelical Christian, and she asked me what I was practicing, and I said, without going into the details, I said, I'm pretty eclectic. I'm studying a lot of Eastern philosophy and yoga and things like that. And she goes, oh, that's really interesting. She goes, my church has always taught against that, but I'm discovering that's not something I want to do. I really want to be more. I don't think God is a discriminating God.
Yeah.
It was her own insight, and I had to give her such credit for that. I said, boy, that's so, so, I don't know, heartwarming for me to hear that from people that, again, so at the beginning of the call, I would think, what do I expect to hear? I didn't get that at all. I got a very receptive person who's seeking, and she is in this very fundamentalist milieu, and she's questioning it. So you would be surprised, so, now she wants to meet me, of course, and she's down in Green Valley. I said, great, it'd be great to have a dialogue. So you never know what doors will open,
You don't know.
So it's planting seeds. I see it as being just simply a matter of
That's
planting
just it.
seeds.
We're planting seeds.
The fruits of and that's our yajna, that's our sacrifice. We plant the seeds. The results of any sacrifice belong to who? God. So whether they take to it or not, that's not your business. That's His business. He's allowing you to plant the seed. Now He could do it all by Himself, but hey, let's develop our loving relationship. I'm going to give you an opportunity to serve me. I don't need any service. I'm complete. But let me give you an opportunity. Are you going to say something?
The Lord Jesus taught by stories, and He was telling His disciples that our job was to plant the seed. And He said some of your seed will fall on rocky ground, some will fall on shallow ground, and some will fall on fertile soil.
Yeah.
It's not for you to decide. Your job is to spread the seed.
See?
Wow.
It's the same philosophy. But there's so many similarities. The results belong to God. We get to do, by His grace, we get to do the service. See, we get to serve and try to distribute this love. If there's nothing else right now, I'm going to go ahead and finish this purport, and then we'll have more discussion. Good questions, good discussion. The cream of the crop is here. It's the usual suspects that are Remember the old movies they used to say, go out and round up the usual suspects. The same devoted faces. Prabhupada continues. So one must be intelligent enough to understand the purpose of the Vedas without being attached to the rituals only. One must not desire to be elevated to the heavenly kingdoms for a better quality of sense gratification. It is not possible for the common man in this age to follow all the rules and regulations of the Vedic rituals, nor is it possible to study all of the Vedanta and the Upanishads thoroughly. It requires much time, energy, knowledge, and resources to execute. Execute the purposes of the Vedas. This is hardly possible in this age. The best purpose of the Vedic culture is served, however, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, as recommended by Lord Chaitanya, the deliverer of fallen souls. Lord Chaitanya wants to approach someone, and this person said to him, Lord, I can't remember the exact dialogue, but Lord Chaitanya requested him, who are you? And he said, I am the most fallen. Who are you? And Lord Chaitanya said, I am the friend of the most fallen. So when people say, oh, but I'm so fallen, well, You're the one Lord Chaitanya came to look for. You see, the exalted personalities that are in love with Krishna don't need the help that we need. You see, but it's distributed to you freely. But he's really looking to save those, the lowest, who may not have a chance otherwise for the rest of Kali Yuga and who knows how long. You see. When Lord Chaitanya was asked by a great Vedic scholar, Prakasananda Saraswati, why he, the Lord, was chanting the holy name of the Lord like a sentimentalist instead of studying Vedanta philosophy, the Lord replied that his spiritual master had found him to be a great fool and thus asked him to chant the holy name of Krishna. He did so and became ecstatic like a madman. In this age of Kali, most of the population is foolish and not adequately educated to understand Vedanta philosophy. The best purpose of the Vedanta philosophy is served by inoffensively chanting the holy name of the Lord. Vedanta is the last word in Vedic wisdom, and the author and knower of the Vedanta philosophy is Lord Krishna. And the highest Vedantist is the great soul who takes pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord. That is the ultimate purpose of all Vedic mysticism. Why are people attracted towards mysticism? Mystic powers. It's there, you can do it. We're not denying. The yogis can do things. Those who become perfect in yoga, they can go through stone. They can walk up to a stone wall, dematerialize and go through it, and materialize on the other side. They can do all kinds of things. Those who've been to the Kumbh Mela in India, you can see the yogis that do all kinds of tricks. A yogi can even create a planet. You see? So the yogis are so potent. But does any of that give you love of God yet?
Love of circus.
Love of circus. Srila Prabhupada went to Kumbh Mela one time, and there were people there who do all kinds of tricks, like they get buried in holes, and they do all this. So there was a guy there, there was this mud puddle, and somebody had dug a pit and filled it full of mud, and he's in the pit with just his arm sticking out, and a little sign there, I am Krishna, please give donation. His arm, he's in the mud, so how can he breathe? He's yoga. He's yogic mystic power, potency. So he's doing that. So Prabhupada said, just see, here is Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, stuck in the mud. If he's Krishna, why is he asking for a donation? God brother of mine told me the story that he was traveling in India by bus, and he was waiting for the bus to come, and this old sadhu sitting on the bench next to him, and he said, "Do you not know who I am?" "No, I don't. I am Krishna." In India, God's on every street corner. There's so many people that say they're God. Some of them get famous. So anyway, he said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Yes, let me show you." He said, "See that little pebble there?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Hand it to me." So he went over and he picked up this little pebble. And he said, he opened his hand and he said, "Drop it in there." So the guy put the pebble in his hand and he closed his hand. And when he opened his hand up, there was a little rosebud. He had a little rosebud. He said, "So, you can see. So you can give me 10 rupees. Well, 10 rupees is like 20 cents.
Yeah.
But he's asking, "You can give me 10 rupees. And my God, I can't remember who told me this is so long ago. My godbrother said, "Well, if you're so powerful, if you're Krishna, why didn't you change the pebble into a 10 rupee note or a 100 rupee note? What do you need from me?" The guy had nothing to say, but he had some potency. He could do some. Siddha Sai Baba could do some things. He can produce ash, which is usually what they can do. The guys that can do, they can make ash come out of nowhere. And some people say, "Ooh, you're God." He said, yes. Here's the collection. But if you're God, why are you asking for money? You have everything.
There's a story in The Journey Home by Holiness Radha Swami where such a person was exhibiting his abilities and people, so he was making ash come from wherever, and so people were very enamored by this, and he said I have created ash, but God can create universes. And just walked away.
Yeah, you see, like I say, there's almost like a God on every street corner in India. So many people, and some of them get to be famous, and they get famous, and they get millions of followers, and it's all about what I refer to as the woo-woo people. It's the latest craze. Is there any loving exchange there? So, what Lord Chaitanya was handing out freely is a ticket to Krishna Prem, the ultimate love of God, which the sages in the past, they weren't even shooting for that. They wanted great mystic potency, they wanted to merge, they wanted so many things. But they weren't shooting for this love of God in it. And I'm not saying they're bad guys, but it's not the all in all. It's not the ultimate target, you see. So, what Lord Chaitanya brought to us and what Srila Prabhupada distributed all over the world was the ability to have a close, personal, loving relationship with the Supreme, eternal love. Or to return to that which we have come from. And some people may say, well, I don't believe we came from that. All right, wouldn't you like to go there? Wouldn't you like to have this wonderful love that we keep talking about? See? And a lot of people will say, no, I would rather do this or I would rather do that. That's okay. Then I hope you achieve what you're looking for. So the devotee doesn't want to disturb anybody. We're not looking to do, and sometimes presenting the truth sometimes people may become disturbed. We don't intend it. It's like when someone's talking about the merging thing. We say, well, that's not the all in all. You can actually have loving relationship with Krishna. In other words, you're not manifest here and unmanifest in a liberated stage. You're always manifest. You are part and parcel of God. But at the same time, when you learn to love Him, it is as if you are merged. Now look at Radha and Krishna. I mean, how close can you get? There's some pictures of Radha where she's got her arms around Krishna and she's holding his feet. Now how can he have that loving exchange if they merge together? Say she merged with him. Krishna's like, oh, that's great, now what? Now who's going to hug me? Don't you think God wants to hug once in a while? No, He wants to hug constantly. Look at it. Radha and Krishna, this is eternal. Holding hands. Krishna, he's like that. He's warm and fuzzy. He wants affection. Not just once in a while, constantly. Constantly. With you. He wants it with you. He doesn't want it to ever stop. That's what He wants. So when we become spiritually mature, we want the same thing God wants. You see? He doesn't want auto reverence. He can get that. You see? He could demand that. All he had to do is descend right now. Can you imagine coming over the mountain over there on Garuda? Well, the whole town would be auto reverence. Oh, God. We always believed the Hare Krishnas were right. Yes. Hey, while you're here, I could use a favor. You see? So he could get that. He wants it. But he's given you free will. And right now you're withholding your love. And he wants it. He doesn't have it.
Isn't it funny how indirectly Krishna's always been adored? In his mature energies, Sistine Chapel, artwork, nature, conservative, ecologists. We're all, in awe of these energies to begin with.
Yeah.
So probably does get sick of it.
Yeah, on reverence. You can't love something you have all on reverence for. You can't. It's an impediment. Or you fear. How do you love something you fear? Fear, awe, reverence, those are impediments to love. The greatest example is this relationship between Radha and Krishna. You see, she's so attached, she doesn't want to even blink her eyes to miss a second of seeing him. You see, they're displaying this so that we know what's available for us and to cultivate a taste. I want that too. I mean, we may not, if we think it's impossible to have, that might subdue our desire to look. Well, when we think, no, you mean I can have that? I mean, that's, and the devotee says, not only can you have it, it's already yours. You've already won the lottery. You just have to go cash in your ticket. You see, you've already won. It belongs to you. You've always had it. It's like, what is it, Dorothy? In the Wizard of Oz? There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. You see, we already have it. We can go anytime we decide we want to. You see, and to do that, we have to gain faith, lose faith in the material energy, gain faith in the spiritual energy. By doing that, you'll transcend the modes of material nature. You see, and go home back to Godhead. Or after a while, when you advance to the point, you don't even care about that. I just want you, Krishna. I want to always think and serve you. I don't care where. The true Paramahamsa, perfect, pure devotee, he doesn't care anything for liberation. I have Krishna. I'll never forget him. I'll see Krishna everywhere. I see him in everything. So that is liberation. That's samadhi. It doesn't have to be. And Krishna may say, no, I want you to come here with me and go over Vrindavan. Or he may say, I want you to go to another planet and harvest souls. Give them this knowledge. And the devotee doesn't care. That's my Lord. Ah, what a blessing to have God say, would you please do something for me? And we spend our lives thinking, oh God, what can I do? Well, I'll send you a guru, and he'll tell you what I want you to do. But we want to know, what can I do? How can I serve you? And for him to say, would you please go to this planet and distribute the holy name? Take your harmonium and go charm those people and distribute the holy name and bring as many back as you can. Because they have love for me and I'm not getting it right now and I want it. I want it. It belongs to me. That love belongs to me. And they're infatuated by my material energy over there. And I need you to go help them. I want that love back. I don't have it. And I want it. And I'm used to getting what I want. Yeah.
So, what exactly are the Rudras and Krishna? This talk about the frustration that the living entities won't turn back. They keep on, just going through the material energy, and the frustration of Krishna. What exactly
there are certain living entities that will dig themselves so deeply into the material nature to become so low, so immersed in the mode of darkness, they sink so low that practically they're going to be here so long, we could say they'll be here for eternity. Because they'll be here so long, creation after creation after creation. Hundreds of billions of years for each creation. And the creation is created and annihilated, and created and annihilated. And these people are still here. They're so stubborn and they've sunk so low. Ultimately, so far in the distance of time, they'll be liberated. So far away that we can't even wrap our minds around how long it will take. But it's not like Krishna is punishing them. They have sunk so low. So it'll only take causeless mercy to get them to get on the track. You see. So it's very unfortunate that there are souls that are like that will be here so long. To be in this material world means to suffer. We may have brief periods of what seems like enjoyment, but really it's just a cessation of the suffering for a minute. But not even a full cessation of it. A good example is like, say you're traveling on the freeway through, I don't know, maybe Arizona. And you have to go to the bathroom real bad. I mean real bad. There's not a thing in sight. Nothing. There's some traffic going by. There's no bushes or anything to get behind. It's just kind of like, So if you're outside, the whole world's going to see you, so you can't do that. So what do? So you go, finally, there's a rest area. Thank you, Lord. And so this time it's really, you're feeling some distress. And then you get in there, and you do your business, and it feels like, that's wonderful. No, it's not. The pain let up. The cessation of the pain, or actually not even, it just lets up some, and you feel like, this is great pleasure. Whoa! You're not going to go around to all your friends saying, hey, you want to have a really great reaction? Go take a pee. It's fabulous. Isn't it? You were in such distress, it seemed like ecstasy. It's not like you sit around thinking, I'm going to do that again. Not like that. See? So that's the closest thing to pleasure in the material world that we ever have is a bit of an easing up of some suffering, because our body's always suffering some. If nothing else, we're suffering lack of knowledge. We wonder. We have so many things we wonder about. Is this true? Is that true? What is it? So we're out of place in this material world, and we feel it. We feel. Sometimes we feel alone, even when we're in a crowd. So,
before at the Brooklyn Temple, Radha Krishna Temple there, I forget his name, wonderful temple president. He would always remind us of how beautiful Radha is, just to entice the imagination of how beautiful she is. And he made it very clear that even Krishna says, before paying your obeisances to me, please honor my beloved Radha. So in the spiritual world, of course, she brings us to Krishna. But do we have both Radha and Krishna, or is it we have just Krishna? And Radha is more...
You have Radha as well.
Wow.
Yeah. She is there. We beg Radha for service. Please allow me to serve you. Please give me devotional service by allowing me to serve you and your servants and the servants of your servants and their servants eternally. Please give me Krishna prema, because I know you have it. She's got it. She has Krishna prema. Yeah. So please give it to me. I want ultimate love of Godhead, and I know you have it. You're a storehouse of it. approach her, asking for her mercy. All right, let's wrap it up. Thank you all so very much.